This is Business Insights. I'm David Matthews. A grant awarded to the Barnum Museum by Connecticut Humanities will enable the museum to present a public program on November 7th in which a rare and unusual artifact in storage for decades will be revealed for the first time and thoroughly examined by a team of experts as it is filmed by Firelight Media Group of Monroe, Connecticut. The Barnum Museum has partnered with the Yale Peabody Museum of Natural History in New Haven to present the program during their current special exhibition. The program will take place on Saturday, November 7th, 2015, in the Great Hall at Yale Peabody Museum. Joining us now is Kathy Maher, Executive Director of the Barnum Museum. Kathy, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Could you tell us a little bit about the Barnum Museum and what it is you do?
Sure. Well, what's the first thing that's interesting about the Barnum Museum itself is everybody kind of has a connection to the Barnum name. And very often people jump immediately to the circus component. The truth is that the circus was Barnum's retirement project. He was more than 61 years old when he embarked on that endeavor. His true love and lifelong passion were his museums. He opened his first American museum on Broadway, way downtown in New York City in 1842. And it's surprising. And it was really the first modern museum the way we think of them today. There was no defining exhibitions that we have very often today. You have natural sciences museums, you have art museums. Barnum was a holding tank for everything. It's really the first science center. It's the first aquarium. There were living curiosities, everything from the bell ringers of Lancaster, which were fascinating, to families that would come over from different countries wearing traditional clothing, their music, their language, and that was giving people broad exposure to the world in a time where you otherwise didn't have that opportunity. So Barnum was bringing mass entertainment to the American shores for the first time as early as the 1840s, long before the circus endeavor. And today, we continue his objectives to provide instructive entertainment to the community at large. And it's a fascinating museum, and it's his last living legacy. It's his last surviving museum.
It does sound fascinating. It makes me want to go see it. So now you say you're going to be revealing a rare artifact, and this all sounds a little bit mysterious in the whole P.T. Barnum world, I'm sure. Why all the secrecy?
Well, because it has been actually a secret to us for quite a long time. The actual object is so unusual that we understood to actually open it. Curators step back, and the first rule of curation is better is the enemy of good. So it was safe, it was protected, but to actually open it up, we knew required very highly specialized, scholars in the field. We did know just from the basic observation that it is a samurai. It is Japanese box, but not wanting to touch it until we did have the scholars and the team of conservators that could actually unbox it safely, soundly, and assess the materials inside it. So for the Barnum Museum staff, we knew that the time would come that we could actually focus on this specific. We have tens of thousands of artifacts in the collection. So this one we've had under watchful eye until the time was right. And with the Yale Peabody Museum exhibition right now, we knew that their scholars were assembled.
Well, you're certainly piquing my curiosity about it. So now, how did the Barnum Museum come to have this artifact, and how long exactly have you had it?
We've actually had it since 2003. A colleague institution here in Bridgeport, Connecticut, had it as part of their curiosities collection, and they shifted their focus to be specific science. So what we wound up working with them for this object, as well as a number of other pieces in the collection, to do a museum transfer, because this made sense to the Barnum Museum collection of curiosities and wonders. So it has been process recorded, but the interiors have not been accessioned individually to determine what's inside. Interestingly, we did ask our friends at the bioimaging department, the diagnostic imaging department at Quinnipiac University, to come and X-ray it, and they were non-usable images. There was nothing that we could get through it. So that's suggesting even something more mysterious. What is the container actually made out of? So this is a great fascination for all of us.
Well, yes, I can see that. So now I see that you're partnering with Yale University's Peabody Museum on this. Why is that?
Basically because they have the expertise with their samurai exhibition up right now. We knew that we could actually potentially work with them to determine, what could we do? Can you help us really figure out what the story is, the rich, broad story of a samurai box like this? And they were immediately intrigued as well. It's wonderful when you could get Yale intrigued and curious about something. So they were very welcome. And through the conversations that we had with their team, we said, wouldn't it be fascinating if this was an opportunity, not just for the curators, because I'm, from my academic training, I'm a curator, and I'm really curious about what's inside, but wouldn't it be interesting to give the public an opportunity to know what it's like to be a curator and to be a conservator, examining something at the very first moments that is being revealed? So we all were like, ooh, that is so Barnum-esque. And we said, well, that's it. Then we've got to do it. So it has been a wonderful collaboration.
Well, that's awesome. What do you think P.T. Barnum would think of this?
This is right out of P.T. Barnum's playbook. He lived for making people think and wonder and to be curious. And even when you came to his museum, and actually that's a quote, I'll give you his quote. My one end aimed at was to make people think and talk and wonder, and as a practical result, go to the museum. And that was his constant study and occupation. So he says it right there. So we are living his legacy.
You definitely are living his legacy. I think that's amazing. I'm very curious about it. I'm going to be watching this to see how this turns out. Kathy, Kathy Maher, Executive Director of Barnum Museum, thank you so much for being with us today. Fascinating and very curious indeed. Thank you very much.
And stay tuned. We're as excited about this as we hope everybody else is. So thank you.
We certainly will. This is Business Insights. I'm David Matthews. Thanks for watching.